came straight here, Tom, from doing defensive tackle, interior defensive line preview for Warchant.com and Warchant TV. Myself and Corey Clark shot that video along with Aslan, and it should be up soon. And I'm looking forward to it. That was one of the more encouraging endeavors there. A lot of times, we all take turns, and it's great. I love my job. This is so cool to get down into the weeds with a football program that desperately needs to get back up to a place where it's contending for conference championships. And obviously from there, hopefully in due time, short times, we'll see this team back in the top 20, top 25 on a regular basis, competing potentially for a college football playoff. But that's down the line. And what you do is as you go into spring football, and we're right on the cusp of doing it, you analyze segment group by segment group, and you decide, is this good enough? Will this be good enough? Do they have to vastly improve in this area or that area? Is this something by way of comparison in the conference that's anywhere close to elite? And the answer has been, over the last several years, in most of these groups, a resounding no. It has been a disappointing task or endeavor to sit down and break down spring preview, fall preview, doesn't matter the preview. It's just been disappointing because there have been individual highlights. There have been real expectations and hopes and dreams and wishes and wants amongst certain players, but not segment groups on the whole. It has been very rare that we have sat back and said, this group is really good. Now, I got it wrong. I thought the secondary going into last year was going to be a real strength of this team. Really, the last 2 years, I think you and I both really felt like there was real upside to that segment group, and it just turned out that they were bitterly disappointing, with the exception of a few young guys emerging last year. I think of Noles, and I think of Amari Cooper. Sorry. Those two individuals I was very excited about. Now, listen, Brownlee plays really hard, cares deeply, is flawed physically, but he'll stick his head in there and is passionate and works. And listen, he's serviceable. He's not elite. He's serviceable. But there haven't been nearly enough of those guys. And I would say that part of that is that some guys either fell through the cracks or whose attitudes weren't great in that segment group, in that meeting room, if you will. I don't know how it has been that we've gotten to a place where Travis Jay, who's as athletic as anybody can imagine, it has just been largely useless in this program. That kind of frustration is what I'm talking about. But today, going through it and talking about the defensive tackles, the interior of the defensive line specifically, not the edges, I really came away encouraged because as I dove deep, and obviously you recollect the level of play you saw a year ago, you looked at who was coming back. Really, I think that was the infusion of great news for Florida State upon the offseason. Like, the season ends, you take stock, you take inventory, you say to yourself, well, that was bitterly disappointing. A sub-500 season again. This has been protracted in a way that none of us would have dreamt of 10 years ago. Very, very frustrating as it is. And so you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're waiting for more bad news because you're beaten, you're broken down and all of that. But that's the area in which you got good news. When Fabian Lovett said, I'm coming back, when Big Goop said, I'm coming back, you thought, okay, all right, you've got something to work with here. You got real size. You've got a lot of snaps that have been taken by quality players who performed at a plus level in this conference. And really, I think those are plus players nationally, especially Fabian Lovett. So when you found out that they were coming back, you began to put the pieces of the puzzle back together. And, I thought at the end of last year, Malcolm Ray flashed. I thought there were signs that this was a group that you could depend on coming into the season. And our position breakdown, you'll watch it on Warchant TV, warchant.com, myself, Corey Clark. It'll be up soon, as I mentioned. I think we came away feeling more positive about this group, perhaps more than any other, because in every other segment group, Tom, every other place you look, there's a real ceiling for starters. Also, there's a real lack of depth. There's a guy that you like, but you think, well, knock on wood, if anything happens to him, we're screwed. And I think that's kind of true at running back. I think it's true at quarterback, obviously. You don't have great depth, not proven depth anyhow at wide receiver, certainly. We're hoping that all of the grad transfers or the transfer portal guys come in and save us.
Offensive tackle.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you lose a guy here or there, you go, well, it's going to be problematic. Very problematic. Linebacker has been very problematic for a long time. So really every other, obviously tight end, you had one productive tight end. Well, in truth, 1.5, I guess, if you're going to count Wilson from a year ago, whose second half of the season was vastly improved
he was
over
better.
the first half.
That came out of nowhere.
It did, because he sucked for the first 6 games. Sucked. And so when you're sitting there thinking about what you have or don't have, you're hoping to find not only a good player or two, but a depth of talent that gives you wiggle room. Football's a game of attrition. Obviously, people get hurt. It's very, very physical. So you better have some guys behind the guy. And this is a group that does. I mean, it's not 3 deep, but it's 2 deep. I mean, they got guys that can rotate in, and there is flexibility, as Briley points out in the chat. Lovett coming back gave us a ton of flexibility with Briggs. It gave us more flexibility. I would probably opt out of the word ton, but I do think that obviously you got a guy that you can move inside and out, depending down in distance, all of that. I'm there with that. I'm hoping Farmer emerges as a guy. They love him physically because he's a kid that, 290 redshirt freshman, getting bigger, getting stronger, has an opportunity to contribute more than certainly he did a year ago, and they like him a lot. I already mentioned Malcolm Ray. I already talked about Big Coop coming back. The guys, the candidates, the people that we already know, you feel good about. You really do. And so I'm hoping, I don't know what you could ever expect. For example, if you look at FSU's official roster, Seminoles.com, let's see, you go there and you just look at the roster and you go by position group. They only really have 5 defensive tackles that they list. And then there's defensive linemen, right? But a couple of those defensive linemen that they just kind of have their nebulous, could be inside it. A guy like Bishop Thomas, I don't know what you expect in year 1, but he's a 290-plus pound guy that you think in time can give you some solid reps.
Yeah, at that point, you just look at the weight, and the weight will tell you where they line up, how close to the football that they're going to line up.
Yeah.
You don't have many 290-pound guys that can line up as a 7 or a 9 technique.
That'd be nice if he did. That'd be something, huh?
That would be freakish. Probably be the size of Calais Campbell making those plays. But, yeah, I mean, with the Briggs issue, well, it's less than an issue now. You can play Keir Thomas' position and set the edge for you, maybe affect the passer a little bit. Then you get in 3rd and long. You bring in a more wiry pass rusher in a 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 8 if you can get there consistently into that position. Jared Verse on the other side, Briggs in the middle, along with your best interior pass rushing guy that you like, or somebody that could take on 2 blockers.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
You're looking for position versatility. You're going to get it there, and we need it desperately. If we had a complete overhaul in the front 4 with those 2 guys, Cooper and Lovett, leaving this offseason,
it would have been devastating.
This would be a very different tone about what this defense can do, because up front you can just get run on.
Death tone.
Yeah.
It would be, this is not going to go well. I mean, I don't know what I expect out of Joshua Farmer. I mentioned him. I don't know how much I expect out of Jared Jackson, but I know Jared Jackson flashed some last year too.
Did.
I also know at 6'6", 300 pounds, he's got plenty of frame to put on some quality weight and strength, and obviously mature and get better. I think this is a depth area that you should feel pretty good about.
So defensive ends, which Ira and I did on Warchant TV earlier in the week, this spring and this fall camp, independent of them going and dipping into the transfer portal again, if you win a job for the exterior, edge rusher, defensive end, whatever you want to call it, Fox, whatever, Buck, the name of it, you're fighting for 60 reps a game, 65 reps a game. If you come out on top with Jared Verse, you're going to get a lot of run, a lot of plays. In the interior, however, what you're fighting for is an extra 10, 15.
Maybe.
Maybe 20 if you're the first guy off the bench for these 2. But it's more, these guys are more
if you're
entrenched.
Malcolm Ray, maybe, or Jared Jackson. Right.
Yeah, like you were already going to get 10 or 12, but you might get 20 because you're playing well. So it's a completely different position group when you're talking about who's battling for what.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. But it's one that put a smile on my face, and I can't say that when I go to really any other position group. That's true. I can't say it about the secondary. I have hopes, but I don't walk away smiling thinking, that's a sure thing. I don't do it. Offensive line's the next closest, and that is a stunning thing to talk about. I mean, it really is. And now it's not me trying to present to you that the offensive line is an elite unit. It is not within the ACC or otherwise. It's not elite. It just doesn't suck for once. And it's been a long time since we could say that. I don't think it's going to suck. How about that? Boy, that does. Hope springs eternal, doesn't it? You throw out there, hey, I don't think they're going to suck.
Well, and it's specifically the interior, right? I mean, there's some things to prove at tackle this offseason, spring, fall camp. Who's your 3rd guy? First
Yeah,
of all, there's
yeah,
a
yeah,
big
yeah, yeah,
question.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. Is it going to be Lloyd Willis? Is it going to be somebody like a Rod Orr? Are we going to dip back into the transfer portal again and go find somebody that can be a
Jalen
tackle?
Goss.
Right. Or is it what you know about Bless Harris?
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
but you
Les
like
Harris, I think, was brought in to be a backup. Yeah.
Darius Washington was okay for big stretches this season. Robert Scott, they started him at left. Then even when he was healthier, they still stuck him at right. So there's some things to sort out at tackle, but the interior, the conversation about the interior of the O-line is much different. You feel like you've got maybe 5 or 6 guys to fill those 3 positions.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would also say this. I need to see, and this is tough love Cameron making an early appearance before spring even starts. Robert Scott, 2 fingers to my eyes, 2 fingers to you, baby. Come on now.
That speed rush was a problem.
Woo! That's an understatement early in the show. My goodness gracious. He really, and I kept hearing about how much, potential there is and how I didn't see it. I didn't see the bend. I didn't see the feet. I didn't see the quickness. I didn't see a damn thing.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too because we talked last year, fall camp, the opening luncheon, and there were ground rules laid out by Mike Norvell about this is what you can talk about, this is what you can't talk about. So you can say maybe that these guys are working with the ones in the trenches, but you can't say where they're lining up. And I was like, okay, it doesn't seem to be that much of a mystery. And then we get to the first practice, and you got Robert Scott at left tackle. I'm like, oh, so that's okay. So there's a grand experiment going on here with Robert Scott at left. Didn't work out all that great, but the question about him and where you would qualify it is, was there just a lingering injury issue that he was
he was
injured?
So Gator Kirk writes he was injured at the end of the year. He was injured all year.
Right.
Virtually all year.
But how much did it impact his ability to get off the line and stop a speed rush? Because
I don't know. I don't want to shortchange the kid in terms of potential because I know he works hard. He's not one of these guys that isn't doing everything he can to get better. He is. He's a workout warrior. He had to flip the switch. He had the funny interview with Aslan. He was great. And so I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for all these guys. I mean, who the hell am I kidding? I want Florida State to be good. Makes my job easier. I'm a Nole. I care. I want this all to be, but there are kids that you really root for who you knew are putting in the work, who care deeply and are passionate, and they're putting in the time trying to get better. He's one of them, but he wasn't very good. And I don't know how much of that was the injury. I don't know how much of that was, he's asked to do too much too soon. That's what we've really had a problem with at Florida State for some time now, is that when you think about the 22 starters, right, a lot of the time, those are guys that, their upside's better than anybody else, so they're plugged in, but they're plugged in a program that's not healthy. Because if you're healthy, you're not asking a kid like that with all that upside to go out there, especially at key positions on the offensive and defensive line, and play very young. You don't want to do that. You get beat up physically. That affects you mentally. Bottom line is, if you go out too soon and you're a redshirt freshman, even a sophomore, and you go out there and you face grown-ass men that are juniors and seniors, and they've been in that weightlifting program, and they've played in those trenches, and they beat you up, well, now your confidence is affected. And once you see a kid devoid of confidence, whether or not he physically improves or not, and certainly you'd like to believe under Coach Storms that will absolutely happen. But if they don't believe that they can compete or they're fragile mentally, now you've shattered them even as they get stronger. So my hope is that we're getting to a place when we talk about the depth, we talk about the too deep of the offensive and defensive line, that we're getting to a place where we can not force kids into action well before they're ready, because it has a lot more deleterious effect on them than just the physical and just the mental. It sets them back years. And it's aggravating because it's been a vicious cycle at Florida State for a handful of years minimum. And that's why you have losing seasons. It's why you can't get back up. Everybody, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, do this and this. When you get caught in these cycles, there is no magic pill unless you find Jermaine Johnson. He's a magic pill, but it's awfully hard to do. Those guys are sought after by everybody. And I might add, many of them are sought after by teams whose programs are healthier and routinely these days better than ours. And so you get a little lucky, you save the day, it buys you a year, but at some point, we've got to get out of this rut. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Let me tell you what T-Spark stands for. It stands for strength, commitment, teamwork, and heart. We don't ever quit until we've got nothing left to give. Our team is unstoppable. Want a guaranteed win? Call T-Spark Enterprises for your next roofing or construction project. We conquer all peaks. TSparkConstruction.com. License number CCC 1331204.
When you are approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Pete Tyson and Preservation Financial Group are here to help you preserve your retirement. The team at Preservation Financial Group can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a comprehensive income plan designed around your needs. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risk before you retire. To schedule a free, no-obligation consultation, reach out to Pete Tyson and Preservation Financial Group today. 850-523-6118. That's 850-523-6118. Or visit them online at preservationfinancialgroup.com.
This is Dr. James Ryan Finn from Finn Chiropractic. The number one myth about chiropractic is you don't have to take care of your spine until it hurts. Most patients come in with symptoms, neck pain, back pain, headaches. Those are not the cause of your problem. That's the result of your problem. So unmask the cause of your problem at Finn Chiropractic through the Phenomenal Health Examination. So if you're a loved one or having neck pain, back pain, or headaches, don't mask the symptom, unmask the cause at Finn Chiropractic, because your chiropractor loves you and there's nothing you can do about it.
Hi, Taco.
Hey, champ, how you doing? How you doing? Pull up a pillow. Haven't seen you in a couple of days. Hey, something's different about you.
That's right. My people took me to Tally Spay, the affordable spay and neuter clinic on West Tennessee.
Tally Spay? Isn't that the place where they...
Yeah, they're a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic.
So you're saying you've had some work done?
I did. You'd think I'd be depressed, but truth is, I don't even miss them. If anything, I feel more calm. I don't feel like I have to run around looking for company, and my people can leave me alone with the couch cushions.
Hey, I can stop anytime I want.
Tally Spay, a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic open to the public, serving Tallahassee and the surrounding areas. Tally Spay. For more information and to schedule a same-day surgery and pickup, go to tallyspay.com. That's tallyspay.com.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
You know, I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be, a boat captain or a cowboy.
You know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996. We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout, resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Play this game over and over and over again, and we'll do it all the way into August until they play Duquesne. And I said I thought that the most likely outcome, if we were just doing percentages, whether it was 6 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins, 9 wins, whatever, I said was 8 wins. And I have to admit, I've waffled some back and forth on that. Between 7 or 8 wins is where I am. I think it's definitely more than 6, but it's below 10. I don't think there's really any chance to win 10 games this year. And I think 9 is unlikely as well, just because of the amount of games you play against veteran quarterbacks, seasoned quarterbacks that have played exceptionally well against us in the past and have another opportunity to do again here. You are replacing 2 dynamic players defensively, and I think that's problematic. You have improved in some areas. I think your offense is going to be better, but anyhow, the schedule is really tough too. When you think about the number of ranked teams and teams play on the road with experienced quarterbacks, that gets awfully difficult.
What sucks about this situation, though, is, this would be a great year if you were a halfway decent quarterback to go into the NFL draft. So it tells you that none of these kids have, that high of a potential draft grade. Because if you could leave now, now's the year. You don't want to go next year. You want to do right now and get into that combine, show your wares, and get drafted, 40 spots higher than you would in a typical year with typical quarterback depth.
Yeah, I don't believe.
So it tells you that they're very good college football players, and that's probably their ceiling for each one of them.
Problem is, we're playing college football.
Exactly. Totally.
Yeah, and that really, I agree with you. By the way, when you go through and you think about what is it, April 28th is the draft in Las Vegas. By the way, I'm sure we'll do our normal and have a lot of fun. Get together, head Ellen over to Bumpus and do it up.
That's the plan.
Yeah. For example, if you went through and talked about, positions of need, and the draft starts with Jacksonville. They've already drafted Trevor Lawrence a year ago. They're not going quarterback. So the next team that comes up that needs a quarterback is right off the bat the Detroit Lions, I believe. I mean, certainly I think they need a quarterback. And you wonder, will they do that, or will they go edge rusher or wide receiver? I think they go edge rusher. I think they'll take the kid out of Michigan at defensive end if he's there. And so then you go to what? Houston is the 3rd pick, right? So their pressing needs, depending on who you read, and I've read a lot about this already because I'm a geek when it comes to this stuff, is quarterback, obviously, and also corner. So they might be a candidate. Any of these guys you think worth going in the top 3? No. The Jets don't need a quarterback, or they just took one. The Giants.
No, I think this is a buyer's market if you're trying to get into the top 10. And this is a weird offseason in which, unfortunately for the Jets, they got a quarterback that they like enough to not move.
Well, he's brand new, and he showed enough of a sign.
But they have the draft capital to go get somebody big who wants out of either Green Bay or Seattle. They have it. They have it right there. So do the Giants.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, this is a buyer's market for better teams to come up and improve their position. Go get a top 10 pick because it's going to be about as cheap as it possibly could be, because what you're talking about, needs and what's available in the draft, supply and demand.
If you had to grade or rate in order of most to least important needs for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which you hear right here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio when the season rolls around, would you start at quarterback, or would you start at wide receiver? Would you start at offensive line? Would you start at, what are your long-term plans for tight end, running back, interior defensive line beyond Vita? Like, where would you start with this? The Bucs really are in a position where they should draft best player available, I think. And I would ask you this: what if Pickett were there at quarterback and you're drafting 27th? I think is
You can't because he took Trask last year.
Yeah, but Trask is garbage.
I agree, but I don't think that they would do that because it's the same regime. Now, for me, what I would do is, unless you have a position player freak, a non-trench monster freak, you need to take the best player in the trenches, be it defensive interior, offensive interior, right tackle. You can move Wirfs over to left, whatever it is, because they've got Shaq Barrett to rush the passer. Tryon, we'll see, not the most disciplined player in the world. You got Vita, but Sue is going to be gone, and I'm sure some of those backups will be gone. Nunez Roches can't play forever. Will Golston can't play forever. So you have need on the defensive line. And then on offense, Jensen's going to be around for a year or two more if we re-sign him.
Which we should.
Cap is gone, and you don't want Donovan Smith. So you have 3 openings potentially in the next year or two on the offensive line. So go grab one there.
Yeah, it's fun. It never gets old. It's why we are always looking at this stuff. It's why we laugh that we see all these mocks, and yet you and I are just as guilty because we'll come in here late February and be like, oh, okay, let's talk a little bit about this. I do think that Aiden Hutchinson is going to go 1 or 2. Boy, wouldn't Detroit like that if they could get their guy out of Michigan. But if he goes 1 for any reason, then Detroit wouldn't you trade down? I would think. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. There will be a lot of sellers, so you could get a cheap price to move up on this board. There has to be, just because of the redundancy of the Eagles have 3 in the first round. Yeah, so do the Giants and so do the Jets.
Yeah,
there's just. I mean, if you're a Green Bay or a Rams or somebody who's that close and you could go get somebody in the top 15, this might be your year to actually do it and not mortgage the farm.
I love the fact, you're right, the availability of offensive and defensive linemen in this draft, it goes on for days, even within the 20 picks. It'll be the least sexy draft. When we're at that draft party, the aforementioned draft party, you're going to hear a bunch of names. People are going to be like, well, that's not Garrett Wilson. That's not Olave. That's not, who's Charles Cross? He's a tackle out of Mississippi State. Oh, okay, I guess. Because that's usually the answer is, I guess, whenever you draft. And you only pay attention to your offensive lineman. Typically. You're looking closely at Florida State's offensive lineman. Georgia's defensive tackles, and Alabama's offensive line. Like Evan Neal, Evan Neal. But it gets pretty dicey pretty quick.
Robert Sandusky, guard, Central Michigan. Oh, okay. All right.
Maybe he's good. Seems.
Let's continue the conversation, whatever it is, at the draft party. Like, whatever.
The first, I do think Kenny Pickett's going to play pretty well in the NFL. I'm not telling you I think he's a stud. I think he's a starting quarterback in the league.
He's got a lot of the throws.
He's got a lot of the throws. That's right. That's why I kind of wishfully threw out that if he were around at 27th.
Always angling.
Hey, you have to. I care deeply. Well, it's not like Kyle Hamilton's going to fall down there. It's not like you're going to get one of these studs in the draft. You're going to get a guy that, there's some question marks about. And now, again, I guess we could move up.
You could. Well, especially if, let's just say that Brady wanted to return and you could trade his draft rights because he doesn't want to play in Tampa, or trade his contract, I should say. You go get something for him. Send him to Green Bay. 12 for 12. 12 for 12.
It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
One person was killed Wednesday morning in a Jackson County crash amid dense fog in the area. Around 6:40 a.m., a 56-year-old Malone man driving an F-150 truck was trying to make a left turn from Garrett Road onto State Road 71 in dense fog to go north when he pulled out in front of a Dodge truck pulling a horse trailer. The Dodge truck tried to stop using heavy braking and turning left to avoid the F-150 truck, but hit the driver's side door, and both trucks ended up in a ditch where the driver of the F-150 was pronounced dead on the scene. The Florida Park Service wanted to warn residents in the area that visibility on the road may be affected. Officials are conducting a controlled burn off of I-90 and County Road 132 in Live Oak. Motorists are urged to use caution when traveling in the area, especially at night and early morning hours. Motorists are also reminded to reduce their speed and use their low beam lights while driving to adapt to the change in visibility and weather conditions. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Clear skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 84. Winds out of the south 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 58 tonight. Mainly cloudy skies expected. Highs level off around 82 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Dry with temperatures above average Saturday and Sunday and highs in the upper 70s. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 80.
Where is the best place to find Michelin, Firestone, Dunlop, Goodyear, and Bridgestone tires? Nice Tire and Auto Service. Where's the best full-service auto center? Nice Tire and Auto Service. They do everything from computerized alignments to brakes, tune-ups, and safety inspections. Where can you get complete auto service you can trust? That's easy. Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be, a boat captain or a cowboy.
Do you know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pastor Tabner was alone with a female church employee. She in a towel, and he in his boxers. The charismatic 41-year-old Hurley explained the two of them had been making chili and gotten food on the floors. With the hot dogs that they were making, we are hoping that the pastor used the right condiments.
I think there was at least one hot dog involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were just making chili dogs.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
The legendary team from Hamilton Home Loans onto the program as a partner of the Jeff Cameron Show. And in doing so, I wanted to note that I found out John Joplin here, our co-worker and dear friend at 93.3 Real Talk Radio, let me know, by the way, that his parents and his brother and his sister all used Shannon for a recent home loans. That's good news. That is firsthand experience. And that is another reason to celebrate our partnership with them, because it went exceptionally well. Like-minded guys, FSU guys, love the FSU community. They do indeed. And our dinner certainly revealed that to me as we went back down memory lane to better times when Florida State didn't suck and we did have depth, and we were able to talk about it with great celebratory tones what's next for the Noles. So, why not? If you need a home loan, why don't you go through an FSU guy? You're an FSU guy or gal, and they'll, more importantly, do a great job. And he takes the opportunity to make it as easy as possible for you. Great rates, cutting edge technology, transparent communication. It's a 5-star mortgage experience. So you want to do that. And you know what? You save a lot of money, especially if you mention the Jeff Cameron Show. We welcome you yet again, Shannon and Chad from Hamilton Home Loans. Look them up on Twitter, Instagram, say hello. Thank them for joining the JCS family online at FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com. Yeah, right? So here's the response to our discussion of the offensive and defensive lines in that first segment. The least terrible position groups at FSU are currently the offensive and defensive line, writes Briley. What's next? Flying pork? I agree. It is a rare day that I think we can safely say that. How about them apples? My goodness. Just keep saying it over and over to yourself, because that is something that we haven't been able to say in a very long time. And guess what? It's certainly something that helps win and or lose football games. If you're right there, you can survive being okay to average everywhere else. If you're not right there and you're great at those other places, you're going to lose. You're going to lose against good football teams. So if you're going to get something right and you're going to improve drastically in an area, that'd be the area.
Well, and we would be remiss to have this discussion and not mention the name Alex Atkins. His approval rating right now with Florida State fans is high, and it should be. And we should also trust that he can develop, beyond. We were talking about how we feel good about the interior, but the 2 tackle positions. It'll be fun to see in spring and fall camp how some of the backups come along. And maybe Robert Scott turns into a next level player, something that you can rely on week in and week out. I don't mean next level as an All-American. I'm talking about second team All-ACC. Yeah. Is that too much to ask for?
Just don't suck. Yes.
Somebody that you don't think about when the ball is snapped. You're like, all right, I'm not even thinking about him.
And in a negative way. Yeah. You don't sit around thinking, oh, man.
That's the best part about an offensive line. If it's good, is you don't think about it. I don't think about Ali Marpet as a Bucs fan. He doesn't cross my mind once a game, unless he's a pulling guard in a play and he bulldozes somebody. Otherwise, don't think about him.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to start a play without going, oh man.
Looks like they're overloading to Robert's side.
It's not good.
Does Jordan see it? Oh no.
Why would Grambling hire former Baylor coach Art Briles obviously fired after the 2016 investigation into campus-wide allegations of sexual assault from members of the football team and a cover-up. I know eventually the NCAA placed Baylor on 4 years probation, but ruled that Briles didn't specifically violate its rules. But if you read those reports, you know, and there was a reason my man was fired. If you read those reports, you know that that guy is a piece of crap.
If they could have kept him, they would have.
Well, they wanted to.
Wasn't it Ken Starr that was running that thing?
It was, yes. It was,
So
it was nuts.
If they could have kept him, they would have. So that tells you all you need to know.
Well, here's also what tells you all you need to know. There was a committee that noted that while they were leading the program, the school's handling of sexual violence, and in particular the football program, quote unquote, was a colossal operational failure. That's the guy I want to bring in here at 66 years old, the guy that presided over the colossal operational failure as it pertains to protecting women on a college football campus or a college campus.
We're only bringing him in as an offensive coordinator. We're not asking him to run the whole program.
Leader of men.
He's just going to be, help organize the offense. Cancer.
Hey, listen, you know who's soulless is Mount Vernon High School in Texas, who hired him to lead the high school players in 2019 and 2020. You think they care at all? They're like, listen, we are trying to win some damn football games, Mr. Cameron. Yeah, but, he did preside over a really insidious football program that largely in an effort to win more football games ignored multiple accusations and provable ones at that later on down the line of rape. Well, again, we're trying to win a lot of football games, Mr. Cameron.
Did they even win the state? It's not worth it if you don't. I mean, it's not worth it, period. But
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, geez.
Well, and then that, there were private schools you couldn't even really get down to the nitty gritty. I remember the law firm that came in. It was Pepper Hamilton, and I remember loving that name. And even they, the most you could get there was, not just whether the school, whether the football program handled it poorly, but the school and the university. And they even said that the culture within the football program and Briles' discipline or lack thereof of players certainly deserved to be altered, to be shifted in the future if they chose to keep him. Like, they came in and they were hired by the university, and they're like, yeah, this is not a.
I don't know what to tell you, Mr. Starr. You've got a problem.
This is not good, man.
I know you don't want to hear this.
Yeah, this is
I know I wasn't hired for me to tell you this, but
Yeah.
you've got a problem.
You know how we've had back-to-back days now for the PR firm. There was a quote, and I always love when the people who are under the microscope are asked to speak on the accusations specifically, especially if it's not an outright denial, but they are acquiescing to the idea that they could have done things better. Briles, quote, "Some bad things may have happened under my watch, and for that, I'm sorry." That's the quote. Direct quote.
It's like scumbag week.
Oh, man. That's the best. I mean, can you get beyond simple? There it is. That's beyond simple.
I mean, that's about as surface level and bland as Jim Tressel's,
who didn't do really much
right,
wrong.
tattoos and books.
Yeah, that wasn't.
The mistakes I made are unfortunate.
Well, that was a great line.
Yeah, but that's essentially what Briles is saying about
some bad
secondary Sanduskyism here.
Yeah, bad things happened under my watch, and for that, I'm sorry. Let's move it along here. We got practice in an hour, everybody. Let's go. Yeah, that's a toughie. That's a toughie. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet, M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
Siri, tell me a joke. The past, present, and future walk into a bar. It was tense.
All jokes aside, the trained professionals at Mac & More Systems are serious about Apple products. For all your Mac repairs, call Mac & More Systems at 894-3622. 894-3622.
Are you stumped on who to call for fast and affordable crane and tree service? Deep South Tree Service is a cut above the rest. They go out on a limb for their customers. With the largest crane in the Big Bend area, no job is too tall, no job is too small. Call Rob for a free quote today. 850-877-TREE. That's 877-8733. Deep South Tree Service. Our roots run deep.
December 1, 1955, Montgomery, Alabama. A 42-year-old African-American woman stands waiting for her bus ride home. The first bus was standing room only, so she decided to wait. Then, a second bus. As she took her seat in the designated colored section, the bus continued until the white section was filled, and the driver ordered her and 3 others to give up their seats to make room for white passengers. The 3 complied, but she did not. When asked later why she refused to give up, she said, "I would have to know for once and for all what rights I had as a human being and a citizen." The woman was Rosa Parks, whose one simple act of conviction sparked the Montgomery bus boycott, helping to advance the civil rights movement for all Americans. Celebrating our nation's quest for freedom. Whitten Glass on South Monroe. For mirrors, shower enclosures, and window glass, call 222-5781. And Sellers Tile on Capitol Circle Northeast. For tile, carpet, hardwood, and luxury vinyl, call 656-8453.
Our friends at ISF work hard to help their clients solve the future. ISF is an integrated IT and management consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, serving clients all across the country. With the new year upon us, ISF reminds you to create a clear strategy, optimize your process, and modernize your technology to meet all your goals in 2022. For more information, visit ISF.com. That's ISF.com. ISF, solving the future.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Today in regards to stadium repairs at Doak Campbell Stadium. You are aware, if you've been following the news, of this vote that is pending and the argument. It's become political now. I'm not going to choose a side here right now on the air in the sense that I don't believe that I'm educated enough to do so. I have an opinion, but it's a cursory glance at what has been asked for from Blueprint and the $20 million for stadium repairs and all of that. So I'll just lay the bullet points out for those wondering, because it is a big deal. I'm wondering if they just don't split the difference. If you go back to Florida A&M, who desperately needed to repair Bragg Stadium. And TCC, by the way, also got money for their athletic facilities and needed it. And so FSU is saying, yeah, we want some too. We need some too. And so if you go back to Florida A&M, they asked for $40 million from Blueprint. That got whittled down to $10 million. The argument was that certainly for FAMU and Bragg Stadium is they may not have been able to host football games if given the stadium's condition at that time. They had to have money. And that would have been an economic loss to the city. TCC, by the way, was aimed at helping the school host more events and facilities, thus bringing in more money as well. Florida State has said, look, they're looking to do more to open up Doak for more public events. So that's a reason for the high ask, some say. Others say nonsense. you want to make cosmetic changes. Let's whittle this down to what has to be done for safety reasons, right? There's the argument, the push and the pull, the give and the take.
Yeah, the erector set's old as hell.
It is. And so, if you support the donation, you would say there's no bigger economic driver to this community than Florida State University, which brings in nearly $50 million every home game, every season. So, although, I mean,
who knows where those estimates come from? And
yeah, I'm not going to get into this again. The point is, it's going down today. I know that Florida State's boosters have funded the bulk of the money, some $100 million in all of this refurbishment for Doe Campbell Stadium. FSU is asking Blueprint for $20 million for those stadium repairs. So that should be noted. The Blueprint board meets at 3 p.m. at City Hall, and we'll take up bond financing for the stadium and 8 other projects. So 8 other projects are being talked about here too, totaling $116 million. FSU stands to receive, if it goes through, $20 million in funding for its project to make accessibility and safety repairs. Doe Campbell Stadium is 71 years old. 71 years old. The state normally funds university buildings, but it does not typically fund stadiums or dorms, those kinds of things. FSU got around that loophole 20 years ago when the legislature enclosed Doak with a massive classroom/office complex. I was here for all of that. I remember all of that. I remember when it started. I remember going to school, and I remember walking with my buddy Stephen Rafferty, who is a film school graduate, as they were adding all of that into the stadium. It was amazing to watch. I remember walking up there and probably doing things I shouldn't have been with my friends because we had access to that. Oh, I don't mean anything crazy. I just remember being able to walk into areas that were under repair or under construction and having fun because the film school students could do that kind of thing. That's all I'm saying. This wasn't a 50-yard line date. This wasn't a 50-yard line date. I see you over there insinuating stuff.
Well, listen, the precedent of many stories that you've told where it's like, oh, I got away with this. Like, oh,
yeah,
goodness.
So I think that is the overview that I sought to give there. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. That's the big overview. You understand the two sides. You understand that this has become largely political. People will use it as their main argument, their focal point. Others would say, okay, listen, what you're going to deny money to the biggest economic impactor in the city? What are you doing?
Right, but that doesn't mean necessarily that you have to give them the full amount that they're asking for. There's a bunch of stuff here, but if you vote on it over and over again, whether it be for approval or earmarking
it
certain
eventually
things,
becomes political.
Right, because then you get 6 and 7 chances to rehash the argument. And what is, politics? It's about repeating your position, simple positions over and over again so you can score cheap points rather than serve the issue at hand. That's why we hate politics.
Oh, big time.
Right.
Yes.
Because it's never about the issue at hand.
Yeah, rarely.
For me, it's simple. I'll take a brief position here just because I'll make an analogy that's oversimplified. It's like watching any courtroom show, Law and Order, right? You have a defense attorney and a prosecutor fighting about something, and one piece of evidence is brought in based upon this technicality. And then the other side flips it and they say, well, if you can do that, then
I'll do this.
Objection, Your Honor. Well, you open the door, counselor.
Yeah.
That to me is where we are here with the earmarking of funds for stadiums and or not cosmetic upgrades, but necessary upgrades within Leon County is, well, if you've opened the door to help other universities, then in the name of economic driving, bringing dollars, ROI back to Leon County, then, I mean, if FSU needs a little help, you can give them some help. Doesn't mean you have to give them 100%, but you got to give them something.
Mm-hmm.
Seems fair, but
I think this was also going to happen.
Right.
It happened. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there is the ringing of the
it's the
hands.
repetitive nature where it's like, okay, so how many times do we have to try this? In terms of approving it, earmarking it, and actually delivering the funds. How many times do we have to do that?
It was already voted yes, by the way.
Correct.
Numerous times.
Several, yes. But that's where everybody gets a chance for a headline 5-6 times on the same topic.
Yeah. On the topic of the stadium, going as somebody who is old, I just want to call myself now old. Not as old as many others that listen to this show, but old, by way of comparison to, say, a 25-year-old. I can recall I can recall many a day arriving at this stadium with my father in the 80s, and it was a very different looking stadium. And so we talk about the outer shell, if you will, and I always think, my God, this has come such a long way. You are reminded repeatedly of how it is that you cosmetically, aesthetically, you can make something that is structurally shaky look really good. As you walk towards Doak Campbell Stadium, you think, my God, what a facade. I remember my buddy, I bring him up often, Kobe, whose undergrad was at Nebraska. He's family of Nebraska Cornhuskers, and he came here and got his PhD. He walked up, and it was after the brick had been done, and the outer, what you see now was there, and he was like, this is amazing. You guys have an incredible stadium. And then we walked in.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the thing about, Notre Dame Stadium. It just looks like Doak from the inside the whole way around. When you walk around,
it looks worse.
You're like, oh.
It looks worse.
Now they have luxury boxes that would do
and we were
laps around what we do.
Yeah, we were actually just sitting in the stands amongst the uppity.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But you walk in, you're like, oh, man, this really is old. Like, they're not
Brick,
even trying.
Cold, crappy, just like the town.
Exactly. It's a dump. It reminded me of going to the original Yankee Stadium. I went there several times in the early 2000s before they replaced it. And I hear the new one is just crappy too, but the old was falling apart. Like, there were years where the Yankees had to go play across town and play in Shea for a full season because Yankee Stadium was falling to ruin. But the facade counts for a lot. That helps.
Yes.
The branding of that helps because we went to LSU.
Yeah.
That stadium looks like a dump too from the outside.
I go easy about dump. I mean, I thought it was
huge,
subpar.
but
I thought it was substandard. It didn't have the cosmetic edge that
it's
Doak Campbell
impersonal.
Stadium has. Yeah, it is.
It's
but the inside
concrete.
is awesome.
Right. Oh, sure. And the atmosphere is killer, and they got chair backs and all that stuff. But if you're just looking at the outside, you're like, what? Mike, the Citrus Bowl? What is this?
The arguments, this is fascinating. I know the shrinking stadiums are a good thing in my mind because then you have the opportunity to have a better fan experience, I think, because you can add so many more amenities and all of that.
That's the separate discussion that people are conflating sometimes with the dollars and saying, oh really? So you're going to take that 10 for regular upgrades and then, magically we have more funding for a suite level system. And that's where Florida State is really pushing and saying, we're going on the record, Florida State is saying, and this money from Leon ain't going for that particular project. But Michael Alford's vision, nonetheless, is to have so many different price point levels of experiences. Right now, you've got Skybox's regular seats at Champions Club. He wants like 10 more, and he wants them to be around the sidelines.
I really do wonder. I mean, this is a fun discussion, and we're almost done with the hour. But I have always wondered what this is going to look like in 25 years. And I don't mean Florida State specific. I mean the football fan viewing experience, man. With the advancements in technology and the in-home experience that we speak of, having directly impacted fan attendance at even the most die-hard, fanatical fan bases and universities around the country, whose product isn't suffering currently, but rather winning annually national championships, or at least playing for them. I have wondered where this is headed. Are we headed towards 50,000 seat stadiums? Because I remember the day when the race was to 100,000, 120,000. If you could do it, could you be the next Tennessee or Michigan? And now we sit here, not too far removed from those days, asking, do you really need more than 60,000?
Right.
Or do you need wicked fast Wi-Fi with a whole lot of, I need a beer, ding, 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 boom, it's there. Oh, I like this. And I can check my team.
Yeah, my freshman year, the t-shirt we got, the Spirit shirt, was 83,000 strong. And it's just not that anymore. I would envision we'd be closer to, stadiums that have bowling lanes and golf simulators and all kinds of activities to do in these suite areas than we would anything else. Full bars or whatever.
Yeah.
That's probably where we're going, is people need to be entertained at every waking moment. And it's annoying, but that's what the stadiums need to do.
Can we have a vote on demolishing sorry-ass Dickhauser Stadium? Can we get a vote going?
How about Leon County gives us a couple of bucks for that?
We're number 2, forthcoming. Stay with.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. From the White House, President Biden in the last few moments speaking on new sanctions against Russia.
We will limit Russia's ability to do business in dollars, euros, pounds, and yen to be part of the global economy. We're going to stunt the ability to finance and grow the Russian military. We're going to impose and we're going to impair their ability to compete in high-tech 21st century economy.
World leaders reacting to Russia's invasion of Ukraine with raw outrage and vows of unprecedented sanctions. NATO has already reinforced its eastern flank facing Russia and planned a virtual summit of its leaders on Friday, after President Vladimir Putin warned that any interference from other countries would lead to, quote, consequences you have never seen in history. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg says Russia's attack shatters peace on the European continent.
Russia has attacked Ukraine. This is a brutal act of war. Our thoughts are with the brave people of Ukraine. Sadly, what we have warned against for months has come to pass.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says Russia will have to pay the consequences.
In concert with our allies, we will agree a massive package of economic sanctions designed in time to hobble the Russian economy. And to that end, we must also collectively cease the dependence on Russian oil and gas that for too long has given Putin his grip on Western politics.
Also at townhall.com, a senior U.S. official says the UN Security Council expected to vote Friday on a resolution condemning Russia in the strongest terms possible for attacking Ukraine. The vote will go ahead even though the legally binding measure will be vetoed by Russia. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Your pets have the same energy they used to? Do they have problems with itching, scratching, a dull coat, or goopy ears? Then your pets need Dinovite.
DINOVITE.com.
For over 20 years, pet owners have trusted Dinovite to supplement their pet's diet.
We started Dinovite, and in our first box, we noticed a difference.
Dinovite is an all-natural daily supplement made from whole foods that help support your pet's immune system, digestion, skin, and coat.
Within 3 weeks, he's not scratching and itching, and he's an all-around happier dog.
Today's commercial pet foods are processed at high temperatures, which bakes out all the essential goodness. These processed foods can lack the essential vitamins, enzymes, and probiotics that contribute to overall good health. Adding a scoop of Dinovite to your pet's food bowl is the answer.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you'll want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
I have 2 cats and 2 dogs. All 4 of them are on the Dinovite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
DINOVITE.com.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Warchant.com shortly. We did defensive tackles today. I was a part of that myself, Corey Clark. Good times. Also talked some about the stadium issue being voted on today in terms of monies and how much of those monies Florida State may or may not receive.
Is that the freshman? Is that a reference to the freshman?
A little bit. And then, of course, we had, as always, some NFL football talk. I am waiting still, very, very on edge, I have to admit about this. I understand that I have to be careful when I tread in these waters because I'm not so sure there is a large contingent of our listeners that care anywhere close to as much as I do about this, and I'm always aware of it. But all right, now MLB. I mean, we've talked about the impending doom of Major League Baseball, and if there is no deal between the union and the owners, baseball has done a lot to fall down the board of importance, right there in terms of viewership, investment, and future outlook. But I still love the sport, and I don't want to be denied it. Selfishly, I'd like to see a spring training occur. There may not be more enjoyable activities with my sons than going down to South Florida and seeing spring training baseball games.
You talk about economic impact.
Oh, my God. I feel bad for all those old men. When I go down to Bradenton, McKechnie Park there where the Pirates spring train, it's all these old guys that have been in retirement. They get hired out. They love it. And you see them on their bikes and they're pedaling their old ass over to the stadium. It's hilarious. And they can't wait to be the ticket taker and the parking guy and the beer dude. And it's awesome. And you get in these awesome conversations because their guys are like, oh, yeah, well, I remember one time Willie Stargell came through here. And it's just incredible. But it's that way at all of these places. You go to Jupiter, you go wherever you go. They hire all these retirees. It's great. Yes, the economic impact is massive because people come in waves to be outdoors and enjoy the grand old game and all that entails, which is an awful lot of time spent with loved ones and people you care about in a community that embraces it, along with an infusion of dollars to restaurants and bars and all of that stuff and transit. And I hate it. I hate that baseball so frequently does everything in its power to further remove itself from relevance. It just drives me nuts because the game itself is great, and they made improvements on the game a year ago to where there was going to be. You need things to trend, Tom. That's why we talk about Florida State. We're watching very closely the baseball team this year. We know they have arms, great. They pick up the baseball, do they run the bases decently, and is a lot of that swing and miss out of there? Well, we don't know just yet. The sample size is too small. They did have a 14 strikeout game recently, including the first 7 batters and the loss to Jacksonville, which, geez. But, again, they had a very successful 3-game stretch over the weekend prior to that. We'll wait and see what but you're looking for trends. You're looking for things that are going in the right direction. And baseball had things moving in the right direction as far as the play on the field in the second half of the season after implementing the sticky stuff rule, for lack of a better term. And now always this.
Yeah, it'll pass. That deadline on Monday will pass. The players are going to call the Major League Baseball's bluff to see if actual games will be canceled.
Which would be a shortened season at that point. If MLB, CBA, to continue the abbreviations here, deal is not done by February 28th. Today is the 24th. Wow. Is it really? Is that right? Do I have that right?
You do.
Goodness gracious.
Indeed.
What happened to the month of February?
That's what we say every year. We hate January. And February is
January.
Boom.
January is a long year, but then February comes. You're like, what happened to February? Anyhow, so the point would be we're nearly done with February. February 28th is that deadline, and they're talking about canceling regular season games. Is what Tom is referencing. So anyhow, the future of baseball.
I trust
on my mind
Major League Baseball writers to tell me what's really going on. Now, of course, they have an interest in it because the sport needs to exist for them to get their paychecks. I get that. But Ken Rosenthal weighing in on this particular issue, he's no friend of Rob Manfred, right?
Well, who would be? Because Rob Manfred's a dope.
And he got thrown off MLB Network because he spoke out against the commissioner. And yet, in his piece today, which is highly critical of the whole process, he says, well, this is what happens when Major League Baseball doesn't come to the negotiating table until it's very close to its own deadline. It's going to put pressure and turn the screws on the players in that situation. So for Ken to take that position today, that is a courageous one to take, considering he's already on thin ice within the baseball community. I agree with him in that situation. Typically, I change depending upon which labor strike, which league,
Yeah,
which
you're
situation.
an issue-by-issue guy.
Issue
Like,
by
everybody
issue.
should be in every realm and walk of life with anything that is debated. Sure.
And I can't stand Tony Clark and the union. They're terrible. But in this particular situation, Major League Baseball creates a hard deadline and then doesn't ramp up negotiations until right then in order to
4
make them
months.
sweat into a room. Sweat in that boardroom as they're negotiating. We'll see what happens. I bet the players call their bluff, though.
I think they will too, but again, leads then to a shortened season, perhaps. So that seems to be what the owners are certainly saying it will happen. If now a shortened spring training regiment, if you will, seems to be on board already. It's going to happen, and that's unfortunate as well. I don't want to spend too much time on this. Again, I understand that by and large, people are going, okay, great, that's baseball. But the precipitous drop-off of baseball has been going on for some time, yet the economics of the sport are very, very healthy. That hence the reason you see some of the outlandish contracts that we have, 220, 230, 300 million, 500 million. I mean, it's insane, right? If baseball were on the verge of death, cusp of death, if they were irrelevant amongst the fans in this country and their sports viewing habits, you wouldn't see contracts being doled out to the tune of $200, $300, $400 million.
Correct. It's just a matter of how many at-bats, forgive the pun, that a live event has. Live sports still, yields a lot of money. A lot of money. It's appointment viewing. The last thing, really, that's appointment viewing in our culture.
The last thing that's appointment viewing.
And when you have 162 cracks at that live viewing, that's how you get these enormous numbers. Now, if you compare them on a per-game basis, I mean, it's not even close to what the NFL or the NBA does.
Of course.
But that's why they should stick to 162 to maximize the revenue.
It's funny, we were having the discussion during the break, and it is the larger discussion about our sports viewing habits in general. And whereas some events, live events, will forever be more enticing than listening or watching at home. I use the example of a concert. Could you get a higher quality audio of a live show after it's been mastered and produced? And no, yes, you could, but would you want to sit around in your living room and listen to that more than you would wanting to see that artist in person? No, not if it's an artist you care about. No, I wouldn't. But yet in sports, the trend has gone the other way. There are very few times where you would say, well, I would most assuredly rather be at this game than watch it on my 90-inch television surrounded by friends and family with a fridge right there and a bathroom right there. The exception being, I think, playoff games, championship level games where the electricity in the stadium is undeniable. Now, you correctly noted that there are other factors that lead into one wanting to go to live sporting events, namely tailgating. And I agree. It's actually the only downside of our job, Tom, which is that we do pregame shows in studios a lot of times instead of having the ability to tailgate. Now, I'm not going to complain because the rest of our job is incredible, and everybody out there who likes sports would love this job. But I miss tailgating. I miss getting together, whether it's a Florida State game, a Bucs game, baseball game, whatever it might be, getting together with like-minded folks, typically whom I love and care about deeply, and catching up. How's your family? How are your friends? What are your kids doing? What's going on? Hey, how about that? Let's talk about our team. Let's have another beer and let's enjoy this food and walk into the stadium. I miss that, and that is a great thing, and that will always be a great thing about live sports, but we've seen the trend.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about the tailgate is maybe 20% or 25% of the discussion at most is about the game that you're about to go see. It's usually about other stuff. Other inane stuff, like, not inane, but important, what's going on in your life stuff compared to the event that you're there for. You don't sit there for 4 hours or 3 hours before the game and only talk about, well, if our defensive line just get it together today. You don't say that over and over again. It's about the camaraderie.
I do think it's probably a more often discussed issue with people that aren't in our field. Like a lot of times we go to tailgates if we do get a chance to, and we don't want to talk about football because that's all we've done for months on end. Whereas if that's not what you do, if you're an electrician and you go to the tailgate to meet your buddy that you went to FSU with, and he is an attorney, and neither of you have had the chance to spend a lot of time talking about our defensive line, getting it together this week in this matchup against Wake Forest, then you might spend a good hour and a half discussing that very subject.
That's true. Also, I've gotten cross-eyed looks in the past of, why don't you want to go to the games? Well, if I have to cover it,
yeah, it's a little bit different.
Then it's a different experience because as much as I'm a fan of Florida State and a grad, and I still am, it's different. I'd have to be out of the business altogether to be able to allow myself to say, yeah, you know what? Let's just go for the game day experience.
I went last year to the Miami game, and I had the good fortune because I was not needed as far as a post-game anything, okay? So within the realm of what I'm doing, I went with my dad and my two sons, and we just went as Noles and cheered our head off, and it was a wonderful experience to be in the stands with a game that went back and forth and was on the precipice of being lost and then snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, and all of that happened, and embracing when Jordan Travis goes across that goal line and you see the hands go up, or the 4th and 14 play, and watching that live and picking up Clark over my head as he makes that catch. And yes, there is difference. That is a big difference at a game like that than if you were just watching it at the house. That I was much happier to be in the stadium for, and that is what, when you're trying to entice people to go to games, you have to point out. You have to point out to them, hey, the live experience in a rivalry game, and a big game, a close game, or a championship game is so much better than being at home. But really, the more banal games, the games that you're referencing, such as the one against, I don't know who you want to use here, but the ACC has a lot of choices, whether it's Duke, whether it's even Wake, who's better than us currently. But you know what I mean? That's, you're like, okay, I watched that at the house. I can watch that at the house.
Well, it's also, you know, if you were to liken music to sports, let's just say that your favorite music artist, everybody insert the blank there, play the Mad Libs game, played 20 times in your town. You going to go to all 20? You're going to have season tickets to watch your favorite artist play? Or do you want to see them because it's scarcity? It's a rare chance to go see them. Oh, I'm going to be in this town on this day. I'm going to stay an extra night.
So-and-so.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're, you know, you don't have the opportunity. But that's the thing that we're also battling with. I mean, even a 6 or a 7 game home slate here in Tallahassee, what you just described, we're battling that. You only get 6 cracks of this, maybe 7 if we do the smart thing and we schedule a home and home rather than neutral site games. And yet you're like, I'll go to 2. That's kind of where we are as a society.
Yeah, well, I think that the thing you were talking about is putting up with random a-holes who are obliterated midway through the first quarter and not making sense as they scream out at the officials, and you have to listen to their uneducated drivel. That's a...
Well, you've been educated about, and I'm talking anybody who's been in a stadium like ours or any other college football stadium, high school stadium, you've been educated about a better way to watch the game. Maybe your executive suite just isn't there. Maybe it's in your living room, because when you have somebody's knee hitting your back every 2 seconds because of the bleacher effect, unfortunately, we've gotten much bigger as a people. You know, we've gotten a little wider, so the space is narrower, and I can't stand that. That's my least favorite part about going to bleacher stadiums is it's not necessarily the width of the seat. It's the person behind you always kicks you, or they kick the seat underneath you, and so it vibrates the whole time. You're saying, my man, I can't even focus on the game. What am I doing here?
Now, I will say this, and again, there are incredible pros and cons to, I think, Florida, the state of, in general, incredible pros, incredible cons. That is true of going to sporting events in the state of Florida because of the ungodly heat that begins the season. That is why. That is why.
That's the other thing. If it's in November, you put up with those knees to your back.
Well, and if you were going to say early season games, 3rd week, 4th week of the season in the Midwest, you'd be like, oh, this is where it's at. A little sweater weather as I walk into the stadium. Now, again, cons, fast forward, it's 7. What are we doing? Yeah.
There's a reason I like going to Hauser more in February and March. You know,
it's perfect.
It's just unbelievable. Even if it's a little chilly,
perfect.
So what? That's what baseball windbreakers are for.
It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Were you sold a lifetime of dream vacations only to get stuck in a timeshare with a lifetime of rising fees, point scams, and lies?
I was completely taken advantage of.
They stole from us. They were thieves.
Chuck McDowell, CEO of Wesley Financial Group, has been fighting and winning battles with timeshare companies for over a decade, canceling over 16,000 timeshares, resulting in $257 million of timeshare debt eliminated.
I believe that it's my job and my duty to help people out of their timeshare if they've been lied to and they've been done wrong.
If it wasn't for Wesley, I would be
Bro, Wesley Financial Group has thousands of verified reviews, averaging 4.9 and 5 stars for a reason. They get results.
I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
For your free consultation and information kit, call now. 800-969-5511. 800-969-5511. That's 800-969-5511.
Our friends at ISF work hard to help their clients solve the future. ISF is an integrated IT and management consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, serving clients all across the country. With the new year upon us, ISF reminds you to create a clear strategy, optimize your process, and modernize your technology to meet all your goals in 2022. For more information, visit ISF.com. That's ISF.com. ISF, solving the future.
When some slithery, slimy something shows up uninvited in my home, I want it gone. Now. Not next Tuesday, not tomorrow. Today. Pretty sure I'm not sleeping knowing that thing is crawling around in my house. That's why I call Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Here in Tallahassee, Paul's guarantees same-day service if I call before 1. Ants, roaches, mice, wasps, fleas, whatever it is, Paul's responds with guaranteed same-day service. Pretty sure I've never heard that from any other pest company. Guess that's an advantage to being a locally owned and operated company like Paul's Termite and Pest Control. They're here and make things happen fast.
We at Paul's know when you have some pest or rodent in your home, you want it out now. That's why in Tallahassee, we guarantee same-day service. You call us before 1, we'll be there before 5, guaranteed. That's our commitment to you. The health and protection of North Florida friends and neighbors is the reason we love our jobs.
For the elimination of termites or any other pests.
And a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's. We'll get them all. Learn more at callpauls.com.
Refreshing and simple. 2 words you don't hear many people use to describe their experience going through the process of getting a home loan. That's what puts the Hamilton Home Loans experience in a category all their own. If you're buying or refinancing a home, Hamilton Home Loans will provide a personalized mortgage experience that is dedicated to making the process refreshingly simple. It all begins with an initial consultation with an experienced Hamilton Home Loans advisor to find out what your goals are in order to find the right mortgage to suit your specific needs. Then, your personal home loan advisor will take you through all the steps from application, underwriting, approval, and closing, all the way to the front steps of your new home. Once you've experienced the Hamilton Home Loan process, you can be a customer for life and never have to pay lender fees again. For first responders, nurses, physician assistants, teachers, active and retired military, ask about the Hamilton for Heroes program. Personalized attention with your needs put first. Now that's refreshingly simple. Find out more at HamiltonHomeLoans.com. That's HamiltonHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 200719.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Final score 68-67, Wisconsin over Minnesota. I also touched on Houston minus 8.5 against Tulane. They won 81-67. That covers the 8.5. A little twofer yesterday for everybody that was paying attention closely.
How about a hat trick? Because Montreal took out Buffalo 4-0.
But ow! That's what we're doing up in here, baby. A little 3-0 on the Jeff Cameron Show. It'll help ease the pain of no longer being able to utilize our Red Russians bit because screw Russia.
It's unfortunate.
Ugh.
Couldn't have been China, you know?
Right.
Here we thought this long dead, Soviet theme was something we could poke fun at. Apparently, it's blaring on old Putin's playlist every day.
I got a game for tonight, and that segment will be forthcoming in the not-so-distant future, but I was elated to look and see that I had gone to. You get to where if you bet in bulk, you don't always check. And then the next morning, you're like, I do a little checkity-do. And I did over a cup of coffee this morning and smiled as I put the cup of Joe to my lips. That is a good way to start the day.
It's a good slogan.
What? Smile
as you put the cup of Joe
to your lips?
Now be careful. Don't spill it as you smile. If you smile too soon, you can spill it.
Tell you what I feel bad for. The old Honda Classic there is woo. Have you checked that leaderboard today, boys and girls? Probably not. Probably not. When we talk about things that will soon be going the way of the dodo, I don't know if that event has a lot of staying power. It's unfortunate. Again, I bring it up.
You think it leaves the rotation when Jack leaves the
Earth?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because his charities are so aggressively good. That's why it would be a hard thing to just punt on.
Oh, it'd be awful. Actually, there was a time where that was a great event. It's just they've suffered because of where they're situated. You come straight out of L.A., West Coast swing. You have the Arizona event, which everybody loves and everybody wants to play in, and the depth of field is incredible and the purse amazing. And then you have the stadium hole and all that. Then you go over to Genesis at the Riv, one of the unique courses on the tour. Everybody wants to play that deep field. It's awesome. So then you come and you begin the Florida swing. And this is a great course, a challenging course. It's a course that, the Bear Trap, the whole thing. I love the layout here because you have to have a great round of golf in order to score. It's not one of these because what happens is there aren't the easy birdie par fives littering the course. So you take that away from the players and you're like, no, you shape some stuff into these par fours and do some things. Then they can be made to look bad if they're not playing well, if they're not sharp. But the better point is that because it's the first of the events in the Florida swing, think about the rest of the Florida swing. They're going to want to play Arnie's tournament,
which is next week.
Correct. So if you wanted a respite from the West Coast swing and you're going to play Arnie's tournament, this is the event that takes it on the noggin. Then from there, where are they going to want to go? Well, they're going to want to play Sawgrass because the purse is massive. It's considered the fifth major, if you will. So they're not going to miss TPC. And Valspar has even gotten so much better these days. Tiger helped out a lot there. But so there's the Valspar. I'm telling you, man, the Honda just gets told, been over.
Right. Well, yes, there we go. The Honda and the Valspar, you didn't get me completely.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Honda and the Valspar are kind of neck and neck. I would have never thought about that, in my lifetime when they rebooted it and they said Innisbrook's going to get a PGA tournament, especially when they did the shuffle when the players moved back into March from May and they did all that stuff to make the majors work. I thought Valspar was going to be the one that got left out. But it might be the Honda. Who knew?
Yeah, the Honda's struggling. Your leaderboard reads Kurt Kitayama, Rory Sabatini, Peter Uihlein, and Aaron Ray. Okay.
Aaron Ray, huh? Did you have him in DraftKings?
No. Danny Willits amongst the leaders.
Oh.
Hey, there's a Ricky Fowler sighting. He's -3 through 6. Chris Kirk is having himself a fine day along with Dylan Fratelli. Don't look now. There's Mito Pereira. See what I'm saying about the Honda? Daniel Berger is playing well. That's okay. Hold. Brooks Koepka's off to a pretty good start today. Okay. All right.
Hey, you get a little Nole on Nole crime going on this weekend. That'd be a good weekend for Tallahassee ratings.
Yeah, Brooks Koepka and Chase Koepka is actually playing in this event as well.
A little sponsors example.
And just so everybody knows, Chase Koepka was an All-American at USF. A lot of people don't realize he was actually a fine player himself. We'll solve for the future coming up next with our friends from ISF. Stay tuned. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
Florida Highway Patrol officials say they responded to a call at Madison County Memorial Hospital after a car was backing through the parking lot and hit a pedestrian. The 58-year-old woman was pronounced dead by the hospital personnel. The 16-year-old driver and their 41-year-old passenger are both Canadian citizens. Officials say that charges are pending investigation. K-12 public schools in the region seem to be trending in the right direction in relation to positive COVID-19 cases. A sampling of area public school district data reflects the downward rate of individuals positive with COVID-19. There were no no reported cases of COVID-19 among students and employees in the district's 9 schools Wednesday. Wednesday was the 4th occurrence this month. The school district reported a day with no positive COVID-19 cases. Leon County Schools reported Tuesday 50 positive cases. Those numbers are down in comparison to February 8th, when 383 students and 42 staff members tested positive for the virus. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Clear skies this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 84. Winds out of the south 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 58 tonight. Mainly cloudy skies expected. Highs level off around 82 tomorrow. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Dry with temperatures above average Saturday and Sunday, and highs in the upper 70s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 80.
This is Susan Gage with good news for homeowners. If you bought a home in Leon County last year, you may qualify for Homestead Exemption, but you need to file by March 1st. Leon County property appraiser Akin Akinyemi says there are many ways to file.
File online, by mail, at our office.
Remember, the deadline is March 1st. Visit leonpa.org or call 850-606-6200.
You can save hundreds of dollars on your property taxes.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
You know, I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be, a boat captain or a cowboy.
You know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Of 97 patients, 33 are vaccinated, and 63% are considered incidental.
See, this is what I'm upset about. He's basically made up the percentages to look like it's at 100%, but the two are not related to each other.
What's 37% of 97?
It's 35.89.
So why in the hell can't he literally ask iPhone include that in his articles?
Maybe he's got an Android.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
To love my partnership with our friends at ISF. This is where we solve for the future. If you don't know, ISF is an IT and strategy firm. 40 years they've served the state government, business clients across the nation, not just the state, but the nation, Tom, which is a great thing. And lately, I've been giving you very specific examples of how it is they help and do meaningful things. I brought up the MIPS system, the Florida Department of Health MIPS system, as it is. And obviously, it's a long-standing relationship that ISF has with the Florida Department of Health, and how basically they utilize those capabilities and help DOH support Florida's children. That's a big damn deal. ISF built the original management information payment system. There's MIPS. Back in 1998, MIPS is an online system that processes federal food reimbursement claims for child care centers throughout the state of Florida. Consider a child care center in Florida that provides meals, snacks to ensure good nutrition for kids. That center seeks reimbursement from the USDA. They would use MIPS to send that reimbursement claim through the Florida Department of Health. So you get it? You see how it all works? Through the years, ISF has partnered with DOH to provide support, maintenance, and updates to the system to keep it up to date with current technology and to meet the challenges of the future. MIPS is there for Florida's children, and ISF is proud to be there for the Florida Department of Health. Very specific examples of their expertise working here. Now, we earlier brought up the Florida Blueprint, or what we were talking about, the vote for later today. It's going to happen when we get off the air, so we won't have an answer on that just yet.
The 19th vote, I think, unofficially.
And as we were talking, we were saying that, 20 million, argue about it, 30 million, 40 million, whatever it might be. But that got me to thinking, Tom, what if you had 40 million, 30 million, 20 million, $50 million, and you wanted to make it a significant impact on Florida State University athletics? What would you spend it on?
Well, first of all, that would mean I have about $1 billion or $500 million.
Who doesn't want that? Buddy?
With all due respect to Florida State, they're not getting 30 million of my money unless I get a lot more money than 30 million.
That's the other thing. I've never been one of these guys that wants his name on things. This idea of your legacy, like put my name on the building or the practice facility.
Like a building won't be gone in 50 years after you're dead.
Yeah,
at most.
And nobody pays attention to it.
Right.
Nobody cares.
Agreed.
Anyhow, so I'm not doing that.
It's a tough one because, I go back and forth between what's best for Florida State and what's best for me as a citizen of Tallahassee, because they're two very different things.
Right. And the thing that would be best for both the city and Florida State University is my face at the 50.
Wait a minute. So you don't want your name on things.
No,
you just want your face.
I want my image seared into the minds of many for years to come.
The JCNIL.
I don't know what I would do. So you're telling
as a
FSU
citizen, it would be a baseball stadium, and then also the money. But I want the facility and the money to entice a minor league ball club to be able to play there as well.
I love that idea. There was a time, Tom, many years ago, you were too young to remember, that we were very close to having a minor league baseball team here. It would have been a hell of a thing. Would have loved it. Didn't happen. Damn it, man.
And that lease money can help. It's almost like when you buy a property on the beach and you rent it out a bunch and you only use it for a month or 2 years, but it's you own it.
You own it.
And they're paying your mortgage for you to be, tourists.
Boy, you know how much money it takes to keep up a place on the beach? That salt is a killer. Just as a side, I thought you should know that.
Also is in your diet.
So FSU is asking Blueprint for $20 million for stadium repairs. And while we were talking about that, the FSU boosters fronting the bulk of the money, somewhere around $100 million prior to that. So they're saying, look, they got $100 million here. We just need 20 from you guys. What would we do with $100 million or $20 million? Which we want to do? $100 million do a lot of things. $100 million, you could say, look at that dump that is Dick Hauser Stadium. Let's bulldoze that bitch and build a brand new one over here at the intramural fields. Kids could go to the games, walk right out to the bars, and bam, we have ourselves an atmosphere.
That
you can see where my vote is.
Right. Yeah. I figured that's where you'd go, and that would be really good.
I've been championing that cause for many, many moons.
So here's the thing. It's funny. With new athletic director Alford and the board of trustees leadership, Peter Collins and all that, I think there is a big success failure factor that's tied to buildings, the football only facility and getting facilities up to speed. And that's fair. The funny thing is, while I would say that erect me some good stuff for football that will attract recruits to have them say yes more often, if it was my money, I would do something different. I would either help out with the baseball vision.
Yes.
Or I would earmark every dollar for the NIL. Because I want to pay players to get here. Who cares what our facilities look like? If our checks cash and we can check them, if the checks are larger than A&M or as large as A&M, then let's do that.
Well, that's what's going to happen. I've been saying for a while now, once we saw this was going to be the new reality, and you and I have talked about it on this show, really, I think every football-loving fan in the country who cares about their university's well-being has said, well, how much do we need to allocate for a new locker room? How much do we need to allocate for a better practice facility? How much do we need to allocate for? Is it really working? The answer is going to be resounding no if people are just paying more to the players themselves.
Right, and that also lends itself to the question about how much is a coach worth at that point. And this is why they don't like it. Because the moment that you realize
it's dropping
that
fast.
You could pay the players and then it's about the Jimmies and Joes and not the X's and O's, or these recruiting tactics that these coaches employ in order to win the 50-50 battles, quote unquote.
Right.
That it's not about them anymore. That's why Jimbo got so pissed at A&M, and he was like, "Well, we're great recruiters.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about that?" Because you just paid $30 million to go get your
You
class.
better be damn good recruiters.
Right. Well, now you don't have to hire necessarily a tight ends coach who is a bag man. Who needs a bag man?
You don't need one.
It's on the up and up. You just need a developer of talent.
I'll talk about this for a second. Okay. So I'll answer Jeff's question here in a second on the chat. But Eric, thank you very much for your contributions to the Jeff Cameron Show. And those of us here at Warchant working hard to try to do the right thing by you guys. Go Noles. He wrote Happy Thirsty Thursday. Eric's feeling it today. He wants to pop a cold one. He's ready to go. All right. Now, so having said that, look, man, if you had $100 million, if this is the kind of fun thing we're doing to solve the future for Florida State, yeah, you'd want to tidy things up. Sure, Ryan, I'd build you a damn softball stadium. It would cost me mere pennies compared to what I would invest in the other sports right now. I understand they have been successful.
Would it shut him up about softball upgrades? Because he's like Jimbo with football upgrades. Ryan,
I don't know.
We got to chill.
I mean, I love you, Ryan.
We love this program.
It's softball.
I'm a
Sweet
coaches
Jesus.
club member of it too.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Okay. Yeah. I love their facility. I think it's gorgeous over there.
They're expanding it.
I don't have a problem with that facility. Then again, I maybe
It's
not
a
as
smaller
invested
facility.
as Ryan.
Yeah, that's right.
I
like the garage across the street. I can get season tickets.
I like
but
good at softball.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
buy a uniform. I don't need to buy a seat.
Couple hundred seats. There you go. But that said, I would finish off this damn indoor football only facility.
Yep.
I'd finish it off.
The FOF, FOF.
There you go. Finish this off already. I'm tired of talking about it. And save the rest of this money for the damn fine players that we lose out on in recruiting. Somebody's got to fight Deion Sanders sabotaging his own university. Let's go.
All because you took his shoes.
Many moons ago, Tom.
But if it was the Jeff Cameron NIL fund, I mean, think about that legacy. Now, there's a legacy you can get behind. The single biggest donor to the NIL fund in college football
is
Boom.
me.
Yeah,
Is
right.
me.
Yeah.
I am the reason that we are succeeding each and every Saturday, everybody. I would want it announced. Hey, as you watch out there today, folks, keep in mind, Jeff Cameron is the reason these players came to Florida State University. And I would stand and wave at the 40.
So what I would say is, yes, after
Not the 50.
the players run out of the tunnel
Yeah.
and they're led by Osceola and Renegade, then they roll out the garnet carpet for you that you can walk out with a crown on and you just wave to the masses.
I don't want to do that. I don't need all of that. I would want my face in both end zones. Other than that, there you go.
You could have a jersey that just says, it looks like it's diamond numbers. And it says 5-star.
And the players would come hug me because they know. They'd come hug me.
Oh, you'd get to break them down after every game.
We'd get to do the hoppy hop. We do the hoppy
Great
hop
effort,
by
guys.
the tunnel. Okay.
Yeah!
Way to go, fellas. I'm glad I paid for your asses. Way to go. Let's whip up our ponies. Get it done next week.
That's the one thing that you could take from the Willie era is the whistle dance. You could do the whistle dance with the players.
Greatest moment in Willie Taggart's professional career is the whistle dance in the locker room. I can watch it on a loop. It's still fantastic. I love it. I do it in my living room sometime to this day in front of the kids, much to their chagrin. I do the whistle dance. They're like, Jesus, Dad. I'm like, oh, it's awesome. When the Bucks score, I do a whistle dance.
So you could be the donor who also gets like his 2-bits moment with the whistle dance.
Yeah, well,
everybody bring your whistles.
Is there a dumber tradition than the University of Florida doing 2-bits? Oh my God. I remember. Like, look at
and then
these,
you know
look
what?
At these cheesy asses.
Even the undergrads, I remember when my friends went there, like, this is our tradition. I'm like, you're faking it. You know this sucks.
Your
Stop.
tradition is to sway back and forth and to do 2-bits. Oh, isn't that cute? It's very sweet. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Applications, onboarding, payroll, termination. Business owners and managers, these are the processes that take away too much time from what you do best. But what if there was a locally owned, responsive solution that would charge you a fraction of the big national payroll companies? Sound too good to be true? It's not. North Florida Payroll Services is Tallahassee owned for nearly 15 years. And in that time, their prices have never changed. The reason North Florida Payroll Services can do that? Exceptional customer service that constantly evolves with the latest technology. From application to termination, for turnkey service for your payroll and HR services, trust a Tallahassee expert and save yourself time and money. North Florida Payroll Services. Online at northfloridapayroll.com.
Choose Hearth and Patio for custom fireplaces, maintenance, outdoor grills, kitchens, fire pits, lighting, and so much more. Check out all of Hearth and Patio's options online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
What's important when shopping at a gun store? Let's start with a friendly and knowledgeable staff. Then add top-notch service, great selection and pricing, and a personal shopping experience only found at a locally owned and operated business. At Red Hills Arms, they're right on target. While other gun stores come and go, Red Hills Arms remains Tallahassee's go-to local gun store for all your firearms needs. Stop by today and get welcomed in like family.
Hi, Taco.
Hey, champ, how you doing? Pull up a pillow. Haven't seen you in a couple of days. Hey, something's different about you.
That's right. My people took me to Tally Spay, the affordable spay and neuter clinic on West Tennessee.
Tally Spay? Isn't that the place where they...
Yeah, they're a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic.
So you're saying you've had some work done?
I did. You'd think I'd be depressed, but truth is, I don't even miss them. All I know is my family is much happier now that I've been altered. My people even brought Mr. Jingles to Tally Spay.
Tally Spay, a low-cost, high-volume spay-neuter clinic open to the public, serving Tallahassee and the surrounding areas. How you feeling, Mr. Jingles? Leave me alone! Ugh, you're right, it is a lot nicer. Go to tallyspay.com. That's tallyspay.com. That is the smell of amazing barbecue from Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue. There's only one thing that could possibly make Kenny's Amazing Barbecue better, and that's an ice-cold adult beverage. Now you can do just that. Pair an ice-cold beer with all your Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue favorites. Highway 27 Grill and Barbecue, 1 mile north of Havana. Get your fill at the grill.
The Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Then I would stand. Wave. You're welcome.
That is how you solve the future, right
That
there.
is solving the future right there, big time. And a lot of fun. We are efforting currently, specifically Tom, is efforting to bring Jared Verse onto the program. I'm with him. I'm looking forward to it.
Texting him right now.
We're going to try to have him on the air tomorrow afternoon. May very well be, I don't know, we have to record with him in the morning. Could be video interview. That'd be fun. Either way, I'm open to it. I want to talk to him, and I want to talk to Coach Fuller and others as we get set for spring practice right here on the horizon. Looking forward to it very much so, as I said. You still have an opportunity to go 2 for 2, even if we don't have our music, but it is a chance, Tom, as we're in the waning moments of the show.
Yeah, what am I going to find? The probables bet again? You want me to use that for this particular segment? Just to give it a little spice? So we got to come up with a new name for this, too.
Well, I don't think we have to come up with a new name. It's just, I mean, Big Daddy J is still Big Daddy J.
Oh, Big Daddy J, right. There's just no payoff with a cocktail. We got to rename the cocktail.
The Red Russian?
Yeah.
It can be no more. Although we were always kind of making fun.
We were, but right now it's just that's a tough ask.
I get it. I don't want to hear the anthem either. North Florida Payroll Services, locally owned for nearly 15 years, offering payroll and HR services, including full online applicant onboarding and integration into payroll. Save your company money and headaches today. Head to northfloridapayroll.com. Went 2 for 2 on this side of the glass yesterday. Tom was 1 for 1 on his side of the glass yesterday. That is a 3-0 Jeff Cameron Show effort yesterday. Of course, we're going to draw attention to it. You got a hockey matchup that you think is a little off, a little short, a little much. What say you?
Yeah, I'm looking at it, and I see a couple of things that stand out immediately. One of them is Minnesota-Toronto. Minnesota's trying to get right with the world. They were led astray for a little bit there. The over-under total tonight is high. Well, they're a top 3 team in their division, but
I was
then
going to say, led astray. What happened?
they were dominating quietly, and then there's been a bit of a cool spell. So that total right now is 6.5. I like that at under because Toronto is pressing as well. They have been embarrassed. Montreal beat them 5-2. Montreal's on pace for 50 points. So Toronto's embarrassed. Minnesota's coming off a little bit of embarrassment. I think that means defensive tight hockey, 6.5, too rich, go under.
For some reason, I've had a greater handle this year on the Pac-12 when it comes to basketball than any of the other leagues. I'm not quite sure why. It's just the way it's kind of shook out. Tonight, I'm going to take a very desperate Oregon team getting 3 against UCLA. UCLA has won 4 of their last 5. They're one of the better teams in the country. They lost the original matchup to Oregon, 84-81 in overtime, Tom. This is a game, if you want to go watch my preview, College Sportsbook on YouTube, go do it, like it, share it, celebrate it. That is where you can find it on YouTube. But I took Oregon +3, and I've continued to shop looking for a little bit of something at +4, +5, wondering if it would get that high. So far, no dice. But it began on the overnight at +1. So we've already seen it trended in the right direction. Oregon +3. I'm playing the desperation angle more than anything else here because UCLA is a better team, and yet they might get swept by Oregon. Oregon has to have this game. They are at home. They just returned from the Arizona swing where they lost, and no shame to lose to Arizona in overtime or by 3. No shame there. But I think they come back and play desperate tonight, so I will take them. Some other fun games that are out there on the docket tonight, at least in terms of bets. You may want to watch Gonzaga and San Francisco. I would normally not say that, but this is a matchup where San Francisco is getting a ton of points. I think I saw 9.5, 10. One of the better teams to challenge Gonzaga in that conference. Not great, not good, but good enough to maybe keep that hovering around that 10-point marker. Something to look at. Not sprinkling pizza money there. I may sprinkle pizza money on Oregon, though, straight up to win, even though I took the 3 this morning.
So what do you think about waiting until the cut line sets in and we make the cuts at the Honda, maybe doing a weekend play tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Because then you'll see there's probably going to be 2 names you recognize in the top 20, and you just pick one of those guys and hope that you get good numbers on them because they're 5 or 6 behind.
What is my man Sung J.M. doing this afternoon? He plays in every single tournament on the tour. For that, I admire him. He says he loves hotel rooms. Okay, you have to if you're going to play every single event. And, by the way, I read that quote a year ago because they asked him about his tireless effort to win on tour. And he talked about playing all these events. And he said he loved hotel rooms. And I remember smiling when I read that because I thought, so do I, Sung Jae. So do I.
He's tied 75th +1.
Let's get it together, Sung Jae.
On his front 9.
All right. That's not – what in the world? A lot of people, including those in my league that I illegally gamble in, have taken Sung Jae. So good. In a weird way, even though I like him, I hope he sucks today. That said, look at Ricky Fowler. Let's go, Ricky.
Says who? Puma?
I'm rooting for Ricky to not suck. I mean, good God.
You are?
I just kind of feel bad for the guy.
His outfits get worse and worse as he gets more desperate for attention.
Fell off a cliff.
And he still lands these deals. Who is his agent to put him on television? Amazing talent, that person. He hasn't been relevant in 5 years.
It's been fewer than 5, Tom.
He had that one runner-up at Augusta like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, he was runner-up, and he's had, unfortunately for him, several of those in majors. I do think, and I will say this, he is well thought of on the tour. People like Ricky, and unlike certain guys, he's not out here shopping his wares to the Saudi Golf League.
I would have put him on one that would have,
but
too,
he didn't,
100%.
But he didn't at all, and he was never connected in any way to that, so.
How tall do you think Ricky is?
5'7".
He's listed at 5'9", so I think you're right.
I think I am too. I've stood next to him, and he seemed very, very small. I think I'm right about that.
So Ricky's runner-up at the Masters was in 2018. This will be the 4th anniversary of that one.
Yeah.
His other runners-up or third-place finishes came in the year 2014. Largely irrelevant for almost a decade.
Has won Sawgrass.
That's true.
And
he played 17 brilliantly like 5 times that day.
And made big shots and everything else. So, look, man, that game is in there. I'm telling you, I wouldn't say that he's never going to win one. He may just have a week where the talent shines. And look, here's the other thing. Yeah, I mean, he gets ripped on because he's been in so many commercials without having won a major or being ranked number one and all of that. But he was an incredible college golfer, accomplished, went head to head with one Brooks Koepka, I might add, and in addition, has never been in any kind of trouble. Doesn't get himself wrapped up in controversy. Just dresses like an idiot for money. Which, hey,
yeah, you can find a way to look sleek for money. I mean, there have been plenty of Europeans who can do that.
If you're an Oklahoma State guy, it's hard because
Yeah.
you're wearing all that bright-ass orange. It's difficult to do.
You know, I was hoping Brooks would break out the garnet shirt this year because he's got the frosted hair to go with it. Now there's his garnet and gold.
Yeah, well, there's something that you can't accuse Ricky of, right? He represents all the time. A certain guy from
That's
here
correct.
does not ever,
That's right.
ever.
But what's the net gain? Would the net gain be majors and exposure, or you're doing a bunch of Puma commercials?
I don't know, man. Those Puma commercials pay. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. It's an easy shoot. You have to sit there sipping on a boat drink in a fairway while somebody drops a golf ball in your glass and you look up.
Well, does Brooks send money back or what? Because I know he offers the private jet from time to time.
He's definitely offered the private jet, and he has helped the program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Could we do better? Do I need to talk to him?
Are you going to reach out? You going to text Brooks?
Hey, bruh. That's what I would start the text with.
Well, that
Hey,
would
bruh.
that would get his attention.
He'd be like, oh, it's a friend.
He shot 68 today and is tied for 12th. His fellow Nole, as I mentioned before, has finished second in this event. Daniel Berger, who is currently 3 under through 8. So 3 off the
Daniel
lead, but we'll see.
Lost in a Monday playoff to Patty Harrington.
Who has, speaking of not being relevant, for a long time. This is weird. He's missed 4 straight cuts at this event, and he's won this event more than once. That's when you know you're officially old. I used to win this event. Now I can't make the cut. That's a toughie. There it is, staring you in the face.
All right, so let me ask you an FSU football question related to golf. Daniel Berger is a relatively famous Florida State grad in the professional sphere, right? I think we could agree on that, relatively speaking. Like, if you're a golf fan that's more than casual, you would know his name. He's one of the first on that list beyond the obvious guys. Who would you make that akin to as a Florida State pro in the football ranks? Vince Williams? Like, in terms of fame factor.
Oh, that's
after
pretty
Florida
good.
State.
I think you nailed Vince Williams. I think that's really good. Vince, long career, very productive, never an elite player at Florida State, just a good player.
But he
Never
starts every week.
Yeah, was never an elite player in the NFL, but was a really good player for a long time. That is a good comp. Well done out of you. You've been thinking about this, Daniel.
I have.
Daniel.
Sadly.
Jonas
Blixt?
No.
Who you got?
Oh, God.
Richard Goodman?
Yeah, maybe. That's a toughie. And I love Jonas, and he's one on tour. But you know what broke my heart recently? When they were playing out in Arizona. Was it Arizona or the week before? I can't remember which. But Jonas shot like a 64. And he was right there in the lead or tied for the lead for a day. And then you go, look at Jonas
Yeah,
Blixt.
we didn't talk about him again.
Nah, he shot like 64-78. I went, damn it, Jonas. What? That is volatility. That is really the very definition.
Maybe he's EJ, because he was right there and quasi-famous for the Masters weekend very, very early on in his career.
Well, his first ever Masters, he finished runner-up.
Right. Okay. So that's doing some things.
Oh, yeah. You'll have it for the rest of your life.
It's like being drafted in the first round by the Bills when we all were shaking our head.
Yeah, we were out at a draft party. Speaking of which, soon, couple of things. Information tomorrow. Finally, we will knock it out. We will open the floodgates. All of you who want to play in the Jeff Cameron Show Invitational Warchant golf tournament this year, which is going to be held, and I'm very excited about this, April 15th, Tommy. We are opening up registration tomorrow, I do believe. So come on, we've got you. It should be a good time, and I would tell you that it will fill up fast. And our friends at Tri-Eagle providing free beer.
Yeah, as will your belly. If you enjoy a good beer or seltzer or product from our friends at Tri-Eagle Sales and you're 21 and over playing in this event. Yeah.
It'll be good. So tomorrow we'll release the news. A lot of you have asked about it, and we appreciate that. And tomorrow you can pull the trigger. Good job out of you, Tom. Good job, Matthew. Thanks to each and every one of you for listening, participating, being part of it all. Be well. Have a great rest of the day. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a Libations Friday.